So yeah, I'm currently in training, but I wanted y'all to sit with me while I was in training. Okay.
So there's areas of the playground that you could go to where nobody could. But that's a good question. Any other questions?
I do have a question. So saying like code and then the color, that's more so for discretion when it comes to the kids, correct? Or maybe even the threat?
Yes, very good question, Ms. Oliver. Yes, so the reason why we call codes is because we want an internal way, staff-wise, to know what's going on without letting everyone else know, right? So if I'm in a room full of 4-year-olds and I scream out fire, that could be, that could get them crazy, right? But if I say code red, that's really, now what I can tell you is our kids is competing with me. What I could tell you is that our kids will learn the codes, but the codes are literally for staff. And you're right. If there's something happening in the building, we would not necessarily want visitors to know what that is. So if I'm in a code white, I don't necessarily want the threat to know that I'm calling, a code white. What I also will tell you about code white, because Ms. Michael brought it up, that we need to all kind of think about is all the other codes you could scream. So if something caught on fire, it would be totally appropriate for me to scream code red. Let's say I don't know where my walkie is in this moment, and I see a fire. I need to scream code red because I need to let the whole building know that there's a fire in the building and we need to leave. That's appropriate. But if there's a code white, typically we probably have to handle that a little different, right? So if, let me give you an example of a code white. A code white could be, you walk past, maybe you come in the door, okay? So you're a driver, so maybe you come in the door, you see Ms. Cuevas talking to a parent, and you hear the parent say, I can't stand you, I'm gonna kill you. And you're seeing this lady walk toward Ms. Cuevas. The best thing that you can do in that moment would not be to go in the office. The best thing that because Ms. Cuevas is in the office alone with this person, right? But you got a whole building full of staff and kids. The best thing for you to do at that point would be to call a code white. And calling a code white might look a little something like you walking around the building, just opening the door and say code white, code white, code white, kind of let people know what's going on. That may not be one that you shout, but you're at the moment you figure out a way to get that information out.
Right. Okay.
But yes, the codes are meant to be our internal knowledge of what's going on. That's why it's so important that you know, right? So somebody calls over the walkie, code yellow, and you don't know what that means. That means you're not gonna know that it's a code yellow. That means there's a missing student. That means I need to get to my classroom. I need to shut my door.
My camera is off. Hold on. My camera is off, and I just wanted to show y'all I'm working. This training in at 12. I'm very sleepy, but I'm taking notes because I don't play. It's just to keep you updated. I got my blanket on. I got this shirt on. I did my hair. I thought that camera was off. I was going to gag.
What those emergencies could potentially look like. So we all know what fire looks like. Tips that I can give you
I'm about to turn my camera
when it comes to a fire emergency, though, is that if you see a fire, okay, and it is a very small fire, a fire the size of a small office trash can, and there's this extinguisher near you, you can extinguish the fire. But what I will tell you about us and what we do is very unlikely that you're going to see a fire and be able to keep your children safe and yourself safe and put it out if you're the person that has the kids. And so if you see a fire and you're not able to put it out, calling a code red is good enough. It is okay to call a code red and get away from it. Remember, you have directors and managers that can come your way and grab an extinguisher if it's a small fire. So just kind of keep that in mind. For all emergencies, we never, ever, ever want you to put yourself in danger, because you have to remember, if you are somehow in danger, right? If you're in danger, then your kids are too. So if something happens to you, then something happens to the 8 2-year-olds that you're also responsible for. And so we want to make sure that you keep yourself safe so that you can keep the kids safe. Bomb threat, that's pretty easy. We know what an example of that is. Someone calls the school or says verbally that they're going to bomb the school. Power loss, utility failure, we all know that means the lights are off and the water is having some level of issue. We already gave examples of a cold ground, severe weather, and that's where you shelter in place. Oh, let's talk about code green. Now, with code greens, they are shelter in places, right? So that means that if there is a hazardous chemical, we would go to our shelter in place spots within the center. But I do want you guys to use common sense, okay? So if there is hazardous chemicals inside the building, that means you cannot shelter in place. You got to get out, right? And so if there's a gas leak inside, then we know we are evacuating the building. That's why when we went to our shelter in place, we already had our backpack. We already had our check-in and check-out list to make sure that we can do our attendance for the kids. But if there is a threat outside of the building, so there's ammonia in the air, there's something in the air outside, that is when you would shelter in place. So that code green, that's one of those codes where you have to listen for the type of response that you're going to need. So if I'm the director and I'm calling a code green, I'm going to say something like, code green, evacuate. That's going to tell everybody get out. Or I'm going to say, code green, shelter in place, so everybody knows to stay in. A missing student, I want to define that too. A missing student is in a case where you were at one time responsible for a child and now you cannot see them. A good example of something like that might be you went outside with 10 kids to the and you came back inside from the playground and you're inside your classroom, only see 9. Now when you look out the window, you don't see number 10. You don't see kid number 10. When you look out the window to the playground, that's when you should be calling a code down. Now, I'm going to stop right there and put my shameless plug in that I do during orientation. Kids are never missing if we're following procedures. So if you are making sure you do your attendance with check-in and check-out and every door entry and exit, kids are never, ever missing. So when you are transitioning from place to place, making sure that you are stopping at every entry or exit to call the names of your kids, look at them name to face to confirm that they're still with you, and proceeding with whatever position it is, kids will never be missing. As a teacher, one of my teacher tools that I keep in my toolbox is I don't shut doors. I do not shut doors, right? So if I take kids to the playground, I'm not shutting that playground door until I have counted and named to face all the kids that I had when I went out there. And I'm doing the same exact thing when I go into the classroom. So I don't shut doors because if I shut the door now I've left somebody outside. But if that door is still ajar and I'm still, standing at the door and letting kids in and calling kids' names, then I'm safe. So that's just my tidbit about missing student. And let's say you're not the teacher who's missing a student, right? And you hear code yellow. How you're responding is you are doing a lockdown, so you are going into your classroom, you are shutting the door. But once you get there and you've called your students' names, start looking. Look in your closet, look in your bathroom, look in your cabinet areas, look in the little hiding spaces in your classroom, because unfortunately kids do get some kind of playful game, and sometimes they hide from us. But you want to make sure that once you are secure in your name to face with your students, that you at least look around to make sure that you don't have any extras in your space. Again, yep, I can stop.
We just recently had an example of something similar to that. We had a student. The teacher was breaking the kids down for nap time. The student ran out of the classroom. That she had looked out of the classroom. The teacher had to take all the students, go get the child out of the classroom. it seemed like the child was fine. She got the child fine, and then they were all walking down the hall. They're preschool students, so they're all listening. They're walking down the hall. She got them down the hall. She gets to the classroom, and she's putting the kids on the cot and everything. She's like, "Are you doing your part? Are you doing your part?" Oh no, she did it again. now we got. I have to run out of the classroom. I was like, "Oh God," like, because it's only me and her now, and I got to run out of the class to find the kid. It literally took me at least 5 minutes to find this kid because they were literally hiding in the weirdest spots on the planet, and I literally had to run to each classroom to find a kid. And then we found her in school age underneath the table. The chairs are pushed in, and she's like strategically hit herself underneath. I looked and I was like, "Come from under that table."
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up. This is important. This is very important because I think sometimes for staff and in center, it's hard to distinguish like the line that it's hard to distinguish where the line is, right? So based on the story you told me, that student was not missing, and let me tell you why. The student was not missing because you guys knew that the student was in the area. A child is missing when you don't know, like when you have no idea where they are, right? Because if that was really a code yellow, then you should have locked down the whole building and called the police, right? After you couldn't find them, after about 60 to 90 seconds, you would have been calling the police and calling their parents, right? But this is such a good example because we have seen that before. The reason why I use the example of a child hiding is because we used to have a 2-year-old that used to do it. But the good news is once you kind of, and we'll talk about behaviors in a little bit, but once you kind of identify certain things in kids, you are aware, right? So like the 2-year-old that used to...
Y'all, we back. I just finished taking a quiz. She gave us a quiz. I just finished taking it. I got 100 on it. And she was like, "It looks like you know procedures." But I do, but I love brushing up on stuff because I've been here for almost 4 years. I could have, I'm not gonna say that, but yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, chilling. I might upload this video, not today, because I got a video dropping at 12. So, but right now, everybody else is finishing up their quiz. Me, this is my background. Y'all know this is where we film. I sat here so I could do my training. It feels good to film off of something and not my phone. There's literally nothing on my phone. And watch this.
About 2 more minutes.
Like, come on. That's aggravating to me. It's really, really, really aggravating. I don't have no storage on my phone. I'm talking with my camera off because I don't want nobody in my business. Like, oh, she's talking to me, but I'm filming. I'm gonna put these clips together. We're going to go see Moana at 3:45 today, so we are going out. I need to stop by Best Buy and I need to see if they have battery chargers. I have one. I have zero clue where it's at. So I don't think I'll be able to find it, but these are nails are no press-ons. I never deny it, hide it, or nothing. These are my nails, press-ons. And I can pay to get my nails done. I just don't want to. I don't want to. I don't like nail maintenance. Sometimes I just don't like sitting to get my nails done. If it could be sped up, cool. But I feel like every time I've been to the shop to get my nails done, it has been god awful. Like,
I didn't do good at all.
it's been bad. Like, the nails be uneven, thick, thin. I would just prefer to put on press-ons because y'all never keep cleaning.
Yes, ma'am.
Or I'm going to nail school and I'm gonna learn how to do this myself. That's what it is. But now I just got a little blunt.
Thank you. Good one. I sent you a text message.
Okay.
So yeah.
Sure, I can't see everybody, so you allocate that. If you do not have on your
Here they go.
now, so
Icky.
I can see you, some of you now. If you don't have your camera on, it might be because you were doing the quiz and your phone kind of went over to Flexi Quiz. But now that we're back, because we're officially back, I need everybody's camera to be on. That's a part of our Zoom etiquette. We want to make sure that we're all present as if we were in person. Don't y'all see my screen though?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. All right. So I didn't intend, because we have two other topics that I wanted to get to, but what I don't want to do is move on to another topic and we don't really get this one. So I didn't intend to go over the answers to the test, but I'm going to do that. So I want to make sure that if you didn't ask for 100%,